I just love this park. When my wife and daughter and I moved to Davis in 1998, this was our neighborhood park, just about a 2-block walk from our house. I'm remembering a student today named Teddy, who I taught soon after we moved from this neighborhood over into the house where we are now. I inherited a little bit of money from my father when he passed away in 2004. So we moved from a 3-bedroom house to a 4-bedroom house, thus making enough room for our 4th bedroom resident who joined us a year later in 2005. So Teddy was a student of mine in an advanced writing class, and he distinguished himself from his classmates by catching the allusions that I would make in class. Now, as I have a PhD in English, you would expect those allusions to be primarily literary. But I'm also quite conversant in pop culture. This came in handy when a few years later I became a quiz master. But in 2005, I would make allusions to bands, to musicians, to songs, and Teddy, who I didn't know yet was a musician himself, caught all of those allusions. When I made literary or cinematic allusions, not all my students kept up. I found myself writing the names of books and authors primarily up on the whiteboard. Bonus homework for those who were brave enough to write it down and take on those assignments, those ungraded assignments. I'd say things like, here's a bonus assignment. You need to finish it by the end of the summer. This would be in a spring course, and my students knew that they had no accountability to anyone regarding whether they would finish that assignment. I want my ambitious students to have room to grow and some guidance. And I think a long list of book titles is a good way to do that. You're probably thinking to yourself, hey, Dr. Andy, what books are you talking about? Maybe I'll make that the subject of a future video. But right now we're talking about Teddy who caught allusions. Teddy was also part of that whole KDVS crowd, the campus and community radio station, where I've been hosting Dr. Andy's Poetry and Technology Hour for the past quarter century or more. So I would see Teddy down in the basement of Freeborn Hall when I was hosting my radio show. And as I look again at Facebook, I see that he was friends with a great number of the people who I knew in KDVS and then who I knew in the musical community. So I have 2 more thoughts on Teddy. One is that I had not had an occasion for years to think of Teddy. He did not haunt me with his quips the way that some of these students have that I'm talking about in this video series. But then, the oddest of all encounters, I was in Kettleman City, California, and I think the only thing in Kettleman City is a Del Taco and a gas station. Yeah, there's probably more in Kettleman City. But it's a place that when you're driving up and down I-5 in California, at some point you've driven so far that you have to get gas or change drivers. Kettleman City is a typical place for us to do that. And it was also a place for Teddy to do that. He and his friends were driving from Portland down to Los Angeles. He's from Los Angeles, and that's where he lives now. And he stopped at the In-N-Out. Evidently, there's something else in Kettleman City, an In-N-Out. Certain members of my family, especially my wife Kate and my son Juki, appreciate the fine dining options available at In-N-Out. I head over to, is it Del Taco? The detail really doesn't matter right now. But I'm in In-N-Out. This is maybe 10 years ago, and therefore about 10 years after Teddy had been my student. And I hear, Dr. Andy? And indeed, there was Teddy. I was driving north from Los Angeles, where we had visited with my brother Oliver, heading back to Davis. Teddy was driving from Portland down to Los Angeles, and we both stopped at Kettleman City, at the Kettleman City In-N-Out, on the same day, at the same time. He recognized me first. And what a delight it was to run into Teddy. We reminisced a little bit, and he said, yeah, let's keep in touch. I don't think we did. But check out this. A friend of his in 2020, July of 2020, deep in the pandemic, everyone was locked down, leaves this comment. It's been 16 years and 4 houses, and I'm still dealing with glitter from the Turtle House 2003 Sagittarian Hellraiser party. The Turtle House is a house on 2nd Street here in the city of Davis, about a block from campus, which was famous for its parties, but not the sort of destructive parties that necessarily end up in the crime section of the newspaper, but rather the very loud parties because of all the bands that were there and because it was filled with musicians and hippies. Well, my friend and student Teddy was tagged in that because even after all these years, glitter is still being cleaned up from a party in 2003 where Teddy was present. This whole series of remembrances by Dr. Andy is a little bit like that glitter. Most of the memories, most of the echoes are gone, but you have these remnants, these sparkly, incandescent remnants of glitter parties, this time from 2003 in Turtle House. If you're a Davisite, you probably know about Turtle House. Well, here's to Teddy, the musician, the KDVS lover, and the student who earned an A in my writing class. Thank you for catching all of my allusions, Teddy. And thank you for reminding us of the incandescent glitter of yesteryear and our festive times that brought us together, even if briefly. This is Dr. Andy with another remembrance about my students. It's a year of gratitude, 365 profiles of students that I've taught over the 36 and a half years at UC Davis thus far. I'm retiring on July 1st, 2027, and so a select number. How select is it? If there are 365, we'll just see. But a select number of my students are being included in this odd sort of unwatched YouTube memoir. A memoir of gratitude. Gratitude for the students that I've taught at UC Davis. If you're interested in this, well, that would be surprising. Give it a like, and then please subscribe. Tell the YouTube algorithm that there's something here worth paying attention to. My name is Dr. Andy. I'll see you next time for another chapter of A Diary of a Quizmaster. Bye-bye.